All right. What was the canon event that created the person that you are today? For heroes like Spider-Man, watching his uncle die in his arms because he let fentanyl Guy Fieri blow a hole in his colostomy bag with a Glock like a poop-filled water balloon, well, this moment changed his life forever. But for normal people, you know, a canon event may look more like your dad taking you to your first football game, getting overpriced hot dogs at the concession stand, watching your dad fist fight the opposing team's mascot and getting escorted out of the facility, and him throwing up on a cop car from drinking way too many Miller Lights. In these moments, they cemented you as a football fan forever. It's kind of crazy to think about how the butterfly effect shapes our world. Personal development, and the series of events that we experience every single day. It's like picturing a world where if some Austrian woman wouldn't have killed one individual mosquito on a hot summer day in 1935, maybe that mosquito would have given him AIDS or something. I don't know. These type of events that happen in our lives are so absolutely crucial to help us become the people that we are outside of our 9-to-5 capitalistic chains. I vividly remember the canon event that created the cornborn that stands in front of you today. Fat, opinionated, and stuffed full of
Vienna beef hot dogs.
As any guy can attest, there's always that moment in your childhood where you somehow end up in the bedroom of one of your friend's older brothers. Waterbed, lava lamps, extremely loud sound system, posters on the wall of extremely provocative female anatomy. They're always just in his room, just either lighting stuff on fire or playing with wrestling figures, while you would stand in his doorway just looking like this. But this time, my friend's older brother was doing something that I had never seen before. He was in his room playing Guitar Hero 2. You're telling me that this is a video game, which is an obsession of mine, that mixes the devil-worshipping rock music that I've been loving for so long? Another obsession of mine? Strip me down, paint me white with spots, and throw me to the cows, because my brain is about to get
Milked.
I vividly remember running out of his room, going straight to my mom, and doing exactly what kids do best. Excitedly delivering the longest run-on sentence ever known to man.
Mom, there's this game where it's like on the PlayStation, like what we have at home, and when you can play the game, and on the game there's music, and with the music you can play the guitar.
Look, I genuinely thought the Guitar Hero would make you go from this to this. It was like that moment in Ratatouille where Remy, the rat chef under the hat, he's like when he gets the fruit and the cheese and he eats them together. And that moment ended up shifting me into the person that I am today. And thankfully, in the Christmas of 2007, my grandma got me the newest release in the Guitar Hero series, which just happened to be Guitar Hero 3, Legends of Rock. This game, it created some of the greatest childhood memories that I have. I mean, it was the first game that I ever felt like I was addicted to playing. Thinking about it at school, waking up early on weekends just to play it, and spending every free moment that I had getting better at it. Look, I recently revisited this game, and let me tell you what, it is absolutely swagged up, beast mode, 5 trillion. You know what? I think it's time that we take a deep look into Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock is a game that was developed by Neversoft and published by Activision. Released in 2007, Guitar Hero 3 was the third game that was released within the Guitar Hero franchise. Up until Legends of Rock, Guitar Hero was slowly building its influence in the market as becoming the exclusive rhythm game that you could play at home on consoles. With Guitar Hero 1 selling 1.8 million copies and Guitar Hero 2 selling selling 5 million copies. But a pivotal turning point hit the Guitar Hero development team in early 2006. Activision, the publisher of the widely renowned Tony Hawk franchise, was looking to get an early jump into this rhythm game market. Red Octane, the publisher for the first 2 Guitar Hero games, was purchased by Activision for a whopping
$100 million.
The developer of these first 2 games, Harmonix, was bought by MTV, leaving it open for anyone who wanted to come in and develop these new Guitar Hero games. Since Activision obviously had a great relationship with the developers of the Tony Hawk games, they brought in Neversoft to develop Guitar Hero 3. So the overall question here is, what made Guitar Hero 3 sell more copies than Guitar Hero 1 and 2 combined? I think I've narrowed it down to 3 key factors. First thing is, they released 2 different games that allowed them to break into the market and start allowing them to build their brand recognition within households. Early adopters started introducing this game to their friends, and more of like a see it to believe it type of marketing strategy that allowed friends to recruit their friends to become new rockers. Second thing would probably have to be their acquisition by a giant studio like Activision. With Activision, now they had massive amounts of funds to back their game with new marketing strategies to push their product out to new players. From TV, print, and digital ads, and licensing the likenesses of huge names like Slash and Tom Morello. This huge push in marketing and celebrity endorsement led so many new players into this game. Third and largest factor, this was the era of gaming peripherals. All thanks to the Wii. The Wii made owning Game Gear outside of your average controller a household staple. From Wii wheels, bowling balls, zappers, Wii Fit boards, DK bongos, Dance Dance Revolution pads. Hell, I'm surprised that a shovelware developer didn't make an accessory called the Wii Toilet that would go along with their shovelware game called Wii Pee. Having a guitar controller fit perfectly into the societal shift in gaming. And you might ask yourself, where did I come up with these 3 facts that helped with Guitar Hero 3's explosion? I don't know. It just felt like it made sense. Go ahead, all you Guitar Hero dorks, and go in the comments and tell me about how wrong I am about the history of Guitar Hero 3. Please consider, I am closer to a clown than a professor. So with the combination of this brand recognition, huge marketing budgets, and the new gaming craze of playing games with more interactivity, Guitar Hero 3 became the best-selling game in the franchise, with over 8 million copies sold and becoming the first game ever to cross over $1 billion in sales. Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock starts you off by allowing you to create a name for your band. While with most opportunities with name generation, I would choose something, I don't know, pretty simple like Obamacare, or, something a little sweet and lighthearted like Jet Fuel Doesn't Melt Steel Bean. I had to name this virtual band after my own, Whydah. The way the career mode operates is that you are actively working your way through the average rock star's experience. You start from nothing, you become everything, and then losing it all because you start doing what is more popular compared to what has more artistic integrity. You see in the local newspaper that a band is looking for a guitar player. And since statistically, you're looking for bands to play with in the local newspaper, you're probably unemployed and an alcoholic. You give that number a ring and you show up for the audition. As all local bands do, you commit a high-level noise ordinance in an unfinished garage and you bond over the power of metal. Once locking in your set list with your band, you go to the first place that any band plays at when their career is beginning. Someone's backyard with a Facebook Marketplace sound system and neighbors that call the cops if they hear anybody cough past the hour of 8 p.m. After blowing the metaphorical roof off of the backyard bash, well, a typical slimy promoter, he comes up to your band and he offers you a gig with some opening slots over at a local bar called Mitch's Moose Lodge. This part, it is so incredibly hilarious to me because as a small-time musician, this could not be more accurate. You really have to take any gig that you can get. You have no idea how many times my band has played at a bar that has a name something like Musty Rick's Shit Shack. A 200-year-old building with mold on the toilets and 10 people in the audience. All 10 of them being other members of the bands on the bill. After playing your set at Mitch's Moose Lodge, you are faced with an unforgettable moment in your career. Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine just happens to be there, and he challenges you to a guitar battle. I was pleasantly surprised when this battle started, because as soon as it started, my brain got absolutely flashbanged by this meme. You know what? Let's keep it a fresh buckaroo straight from the U.S. Treasury, okay? Tom Morello? Really? Out of literally any guitar player. Dude's got riffs, okay? Don't get me wrong, but a legend of rock? I don't know about all that. I could name so many other guitar players who could have earned that spot in this game over him. Dave Mustaine, Kirk Hammett, Steve Vai, Joe Jonas. Lil Wayne? After you beat Tom in this guitar battle, the promoter, he brings you into a dark, smoke-filled room, and he gets you a meeting with a dude who looks exactly like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. The slimy promoter, he offers you gold records, tons of cash, and you already know, the girls. The typical diet of any hair metal musician from the late 80s. And you can get all of these things in exchange for a record deal. You sign the deal, and your career takes off faster than the United States bombing another country because it wants to
Steal its oil and natural resources.
Fast forward, you're shooting a music video on what makes it look like the scene with the set. It makes it look like that you're on the back of a moving semi-truck. The music video, it takes off online, brings your band a lot of popularity, and it brings you allegedly another huge milestone for musicians, which I don't know about me, but playing in the UK. For me, this is the most unrealistic part of the game, because you couldn't pay me $1 trillion to step foot in the UK. Sorry, love, I ain't gonna be paid with
Beans on toast.
After playing your UK run, you return home to read articles about your band, and they've been implying that you sold out. Funny enough, as you're reading that, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, he turned out he booked you on one of those cheesy Tonight shows like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or any of the Jimmys. But in this moment, your band pivots and decides to do what is totally metal instead. Play for a prison full of convicts. Another huge milestone happens for your career while you're playing in prison. Another guitar battle happens, and this time, you are faced up against one of the most iconic guitar players of literally all time. Slash from Guns N' Roses. And look again. Slash is good, but he's not even top 5 rockers of all time for me. Let's keep it real. What does he have going for him? A top hat? Do you know what happened to the last national rock star that wore a top hat? After battling Slash and getting out of the prison, you are given a couple more gigs. One at like a desert headlining concert, and another one at the famous Budokan in Japan. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, your manager, he pitches you for your band to go on this type of Dancing with the Stars has been washed up show, right? And this just absolutely pisses the band off and tries to get him fired. He holds up the contract and he shows you what's on it, and it says, "Your soul is mine." And he reveals himself to be Satan. Yeah, this adds up. Because most music executives are just soul-sucking demons that look to strip any single penny away from an artist that just wants to share their integrity with the world. So, adds up. Except for one man. Our king. Scooter Braun. Wait, he bought my masters. It's a hostile takeover.
Scooter should have put $1 trillion per play licensing fee on every single one of her songs, so society wouldn't have
Enabled her to think that this was good.
boycott Taylor's version.
Make sure that private jet engine is dried up.
You play a set in hell, and then you have your final guitar battle up against Lou. He's Hugh Jackman, the Satan man. He's the Satan manager. You get okay. After beating Satan, you send him to an even deeper layer of hell. You get on some choppers or something, you grow wings, and you fly your cheeks up into the sky, and you rock and roll for wherever, whatever. Okay. That's it. And that's just the single-player story, okay? While this story is pretty dope on explaining how Rockstar's lives would kind of go, let's be real here for a minute, okay? The same way nobody watches SpongeBob for the plot is the same way nobody plays Guitar Hero for the plot, okay? And don't get me wrong, okay? The thought that went into this story is actually extremely funny. And it's a great take on how musicians build their careers. They work their way up just to inevitably
be consumed by Lucifer.
At the end of the day, we are playing this game for its art. Obviously the music. And the incredibly satisfying sound of when you're clicking your fingers on that controller and you're hitting the strum bar all while you're slapping down a tasty little lick in
Metallica's One.
The story, it is really fun. It's really fun and engaging, and it does make the game dope. All right, so the art style in this game, it's just like any other game from the 6th generation of consoles, okay? These graphics, they're just like a lot of the other games where it's developers and they're trying to do their best with the assets and the computers that they have to try to make the most realistic looking experience possible, all right? It's not really anything to write home about, but at the end of the day, it still is really cool that they gave it their best with animating. You know what I mean? Trying to capture some realism in this game. One really great aspect about the art style of this game is the use of actual like lighting on the stages when you're playing the shows. The thing that's absolutely dope about this is the fact that Neversoft, they actually hired real lighting designers, like dudes who will go out on tour with bands and like, you know, program all their lights together. They hired those guys to work on this game to make it look as realistic as possible, which I think is actually kind of sick. This added so much value to the experience of playing through a song and just overall adding to this immersive experience that is Guitar Hero 3. And we can't talk about the experience of playing the songs in these venues without actually talking about the venues themselves, which are incredibly dope. All right, here we go. Let's speed run them with some descriptions, okay? Backyard Bash. This is just an average show in like a college town because literally every single one of the bars in a college town now has gone corporate and sold out. Mitch's Moose Lodge. Literally Musty Rick's shit shack to an absolute T. The Video Shoot. An overproduced nightmare that's absolutely soul-sucking and takes any of the love, care, or experience that would go into creating any sort of music. Ye Old Royal Odeon. This is the place where the Queen of England, she'll do like the annual fish and chips celebration, and she'll also knight J.K. Rowling at the same time. Yikes! Shanker's Island. This is that one place where Leonardo DiCaprio went crazy in that one movie or whatever, which, sidebar, I read that book when I was in detention in high school. Desert Rock Tour. This is Burning Man minus all of the Nepo babies and the, their tripods to make TikToks. The Kaiju Megadome. This is just a knockoff of Budokan. Recently, like within the past couple of years, Megadeth did a live stream at Budokan, and I watched it, and it was absolutely the dopest experience I've ever seen in my entire life. Lou's Inferno. Yeah, I mean, this is hell, or as other people, other people as in me would describe it, hell is when you're standing at a bar on a Friday night and it's absolutely packed and they're charging $20 for a drink and you have to scream at the top of your lungs to even be heard by any of your friends. That's hell. These venues, they all brought in extremely realistic and recognizable places that that rock bands actually would play music at, including hell. Outside of the graphics and the venues, though, there are so many different, like, little fun art direction choices that were made in this game that help really cement this game as just being extremely iconic. First off, all of the cutscenes that happen during the career mode, that looks like a combination of, like, Japanese anime and Metalocalypse had a baby. Which, if you haven't seen Metalocalypse, dude,
you're missing out.
It was such a great choice to pick this art style for these cutscenes because it kind of made it feel like it was more of a legend or a lore compared to the realistic experiences that you were having when you were actually playing the shows. That dynamic, that contrast between the two actually helped tell the story a lot better. And outside of the lighting and the venues and all of that, one awesome other thing that kind of went into this art style discussion was the different characters that you could play as when you were going through your career mode or quick play or whatever, because it was so awesome the way that they used those characters to celebrate different portions of rock history. With Axel Steele, he's being like a representation of the 80s thrash culture. Lars Umlaut, which is kind of like a rip-off of Kiss, which that fat dude, he's always my starter. That's like he's my Squirtle, whatever. Johnny Napalm, he's definitely like a representation of the punk rock movement. And Izzy Sparks, he's definitely a knockoff version of the 80s hair metal wave, like Motley Crue. These characters made it feel like no matter who you were about to choose, you were about to put on the show of a lifetime. This one right here, this one is for my real Guitar Hero 3 heads out there, all right? Who be playing as Metalhead, for real though? Come on, for real. Dude, unlocking a character that was a robot that was allegedly made out of Russian missiles and he would play some sick riffs.
That's dope.
One of the coolest parts about this game is its implementation of real musical instruments and brands throughout the different instruments that you can play, or the merchandise, or the sponsorships that your character will get. Normally, I'm not really a fan of capitalism sneaking its bloody, greedy little fingers into video games for product placement, but the real uses of Gibson brand guitars, or Line 6 amplifiers, or even Audio Technica mics, it really helps cement that feeling of immersion of the real world into this game. If you go right now and you watch a garbage local band play in somebody's backyard, chances are they're going to be playing with Fender or Gibson guitars, just like in the game. Because like everything else, name recognition matters. No matter your skill, especially to musicians. And hey, look, I play Jackson guitars, okay? I play Jackson, but that's besides the point. Please sponsor me. If you are a beginner guitar player, and I mean beginner, from the bottom of my soul, I mean beginner, you'll probably be picking up a Line 6 combo amp to help you get started. And hey, no shade, that was one of my first amps too. These addition of real life brands helped with the immersion so much more than if they wouldn't have got the licenses for any of these brands and they just would have made up a guitar brand named like Richard. And every guitar player around the block would go, "Hey, look, he's got a dick in his hand." I actually have a theory that Guitar Hero was a psyop that was created by Sweetwater, so it would garner interest in playing instruments. So you would go out to their website and they capture your information with one of the cookies in their website, and then their sales guys would start calling you 4,000 times a day, asking you about your dead goldfish and asking if they can upsell you on a $4,000 amp in pedal combo. The overall combination of real designed lighting, cool playable characters, real life brands, and anime styled cutscenes. It really all came together to make this game incredibly dope. Guitar Hero, it's extremely straightforward with its gameplay mechanics. There are 5 sets of notes that you can hit on the screen: green, red, yellow, blue, orange. As the notes come down the screen, they will line up with the little indicator that is at the bottom of the screen. As the notes line up, you need to press the corresponding button on the neck of the guitar. You also have to hit the strum button as soon as it lines up with that bottom part of the screen to activate the note. Look, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. But there are a lot of factors here that can either enhance or challenge your gameplay. The first big variable here that can really affect your style of gameplay is the difficulty level that you choose to play on. You have 5 different options: easy, medium, hard, expert, and I lied about 5. The difficulty names, they're pretty self-explanatory. If you can't figure out what these level difficulties are implying, well, I would suggest that you stop eating lead paint and sticking your head in the microwave to
Tan your brain.
But what really are the differences between these 4 different difficulty levels? Comes down to 2 factors: amount of frets and the frequency of the notes. Each time that the difficulty increases, you are introduced to a different button that is on the neck of the guitar. Easy, it only has you play on green, red, and yellow. Medium, it introduces you to that blue button. And then hard introduces you to the orange button. An expert, it is honestly just so scary and sweaty, and I just know it is completely out of my realm. And outside of those buttons that you actually have to click in themselves, when you increase your difficulty, the amount of notes that will actually come down increase with the difficulty as well. These different level progressions were created to allow a player to slowly progress and become better at the game, alongside the levels being able to help players get better at the game. The songs are also strategically placed in the set list to slowly increase in difficulty inside of the difficulty difficulty level. From the beginning of the game, you're tossed a softball type song, like Slow Ride by Foghat. This song is so easy that I could probably teach a goldfish that's speeding off methamphetamines how to play this tune. But as the venues progress, you are given harder and harder songs to play, inevitably getting to the hardest song in the entire career mode. Raining Blood by Slayer. Dude, this song is so hard, especially on hard mode.
Dude, I was getting gamer rage, and I was getting the meat sweats as I was playing this song on hard mode.
I wanted to run through 15 different pieces of drywall and let all the
electrical wrap around my neck as I'm swinging my legs behind me and kicking myself in the cheeks.
But the song progression, it always does a really good way of keeping the game engaging and challenging. Star Power is absolutely one of the dopest and most iconic gameplay mechanics that ever came out of Guitar Hero. While you're playing a chart for a song, there are little phrases of notes chained together that come down throughout the chart. And these are called star power phrases. The way that these phrases can be identified by a player is while they're coming down, the notes will be like in a little star, and they'll have like a little cyan glow around it to indicate that it's a star power. If you complete this phrase without any mistakes, your star power gauge in the right-hand corner, it will fill up to 25%. Once you got that star power gauge up to 50%, that's when you are allowed to activate it. While you can do this, I would recommend a Cornborn Pro Gamer tip. What I would recommend here is actually letting the star power gauge go up to about 100, because when you press it, it's like a timer and it goes down. So if you do it at 50, then you won't have as much time. So if you build all of it up, you got a lot more time. Try that out. There's two different ways that you can activate star power while you're playing this game. You can either be a loser and press the select button on your controller, or you can kind of tilt the guitar forward. Pressing the select button on the controller, it is the stupidest way to activate star power. If you really want to rock hard with star power, let me demonstrate this. If you want to rock hard with star power, you basically have to blow out your shoulder with the force of 1,000 nukes to really feel like a rock star. Check this out. Here's a new channel. Here's a new segment that I'm going to add to the channel. This one is called Cornborn's Insider Information. As a musician myself, I would like to inform the world that star power is actually a real thing. Instead of when you're playing a show, instead of hitting like all the notes correctly, that doesn't give you star power. There's one specific thing that you have to do to activate star power. Eat 3 to 4 microwave corn dogs from Musty Rick's, drink 8 to 10 beers, and time it perfectly so those beers hit your system about 2 songs in. This makes you feel invincible. And almost like any of your missed notes that you had from those beers, they were
on purpose.
You'll know that star power hits. It's not blue like in the game. You'll notice the star power hits when the crowd turns double and a little bit of pee starts dribbling down the front of your shorts. Your guitar somehow gets louder. The reverb in your mind, it cranks up to 10. And the main character effect really hits you as you're playing those notes flawlessly under those baking lights. Boss battles, this is dope because this is the first time that this has been introduced into the Guitar Hero franchise. This added a level of complexity when you're working through the story mode and helping you get to the next venue. There are a few different mechanics here that are given to you that are a little bit different than when you're just playing a normal song. You're offered like 5 or 6 different things that allow you to help throw your opponent off his game. Like 1, you gotta spam the whammy bar. 2, you gotta like spam a broken string, which you just flick down on one of the buttons as hard as humanly possible. 3, you can increase the difficulty, so going from hard to expert on your opponent. The objective is to use all of these power-ups to make your opponent choke in front of everyone, get booed off the stage, and move to a foreign country where he will live his life in exile, selling tomatoes on the side of the road under the name of Alejandro Tornado. Problem here is that the bosses have that same ability that they can use up against you. Be vigilant, be strong, be patient. Crank 100 beers and
destroy this fool.
One huge aspect about the gameplay that absolutely has to be noted is the audio lag and the video lag settings that are within the settings. Okay, look, this game was developed in 2007, all right, when a 5,000-pound CRT TV that was 16 inches was still around. Maybe someone could comment on that, what the actual engineering is behind this. But for some reason, with an HD TV, when you play Guitar Hero into it, there can be like a video or audio lag. For a game that requires Master Shifu levels amount of reflexes, having even the smallest bit of lag can completely throw off this game. Here's a Cornborn Pro gamer tip, okay? Dial in the audio and the video settings before you even really get to work. It's so much easier on the beginner songs. You want that strum bar to click like exactly when it's going on with the music. It makes the gameplay and the immersion, all that and more. Look, the difficulties, the whammy bar, the star power, and the boss battles, and being able to dial in that audio and video lag, all of those gameplay mechanics came together to make this game incredibly dope. Talking about Guitar Hero without talking about the music would be like a Cornborn video without me talking about how many times I've pooped myself, which is 3 as an adult. One of the great things about this game's soundtrack is its variety across different styles of rock music. If you weren't aware, well, rock is like an umbrella term that goes over a lot of different styles of music. Underneath it, it could be glam rock, punk, ska, metal, and then you branch out, thrash metal, slam, whatever. The great thing about Guitar Hero 3 specifically was its variety of rock-based songs across these subsets and genres, starting you off with some absolutely banging classic rock tunes like Mississippi Queen by Mountain, or like I said earlier, Slow Ride by Foghat, or Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss. After the early rock classics, the game transitions you more into a little bit more of like 80s rock classics, like Hit Me With Your Best Shot by Pat Benatar, Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions, or Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. Then my personal favorite part of the game gets sprinkled in through a lot of the set lists. Metal, which transcends generations. Paranoid by Black Sabbath. Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine. The Metal by Tenacious D. Yes, I know I look like Jack Black. Before I Forget by Slipknot. One by Metallica. And obviously the most notorious song that's ever come out of a Guitar Hero game. Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragon Force. And this is just me highlighting some of the songs that really had an impact on me as a player. And mind you, this was the first game out of the entire Guitar Hero series that the majority of the set list were the actual master recordings by these artists. This wide variety of songs, it allowed the game to feel fresh along all of the different venues that you would play at. Not just one specific genre over and over and over and over again. This variety, if anything, it cemented the feeling that real legends of rock, they are not tied down by their technical ability or, their specific take on songwriting or even their popularity. It showed that no matter the time period that you wrote these songs or the genre that song fell under, a good song is just a good song, as long as it's got some banging riffs and leads. The cultural impact of this soundtrack could be studied under a microscope for ages. Here are the top 10 charting songs that were released in 2007. Take a look at these songs. We're gonna go down the list, take a look at them in the songs. This is a great example to show what was popular in the cultural zeitgeist at the time. And look, for these game developers, it would have been extremely easy to break into this rhythm game industry with a game like Just Dance, taking the most popular country, hip-hop, and pop songs and selling it back to the consumers like a
turd that's wrapped up in some Christmas tinsel and a shiny bow.
The thing is that in the mid-2000s, like in the later 2000s, it was starting to become a graveyard for rock music. And the problem is that honestly, it still kind of is today. In the realm of popularity. People, they were burnt out on rock stars taking steamy stinkers out of their hotel windows or showing up to their concerts hammered and performing super incorrectly or cutting their hair when it meant sacrificing their entire identity. Activision and Neversoft, they continued on that gamble that Red Octane and Harmonix took so many years ago. Reintroduced that rock band dynamic back into society from a video game medium. And that gamble, it paid off tenfold. This game, it was a perfect vessel to allow players to experience a whole new catalog of music that had not been popular in the mainstream for years, while also at the same time highlighting and showcasing rock bands that were popular at the time to try to get them new fans. This perfectly curated playlist of rock songs infected an entire generation into shaping their music tastes around this entire genre. And just a fair warning, just in general, and I don't know, rock and roll, it's the real gateway drug. Congress people, your health teacher, and that stupid lion from the DARE campaign will tell you that the gateway drug is that OG Kush, but hate to break it to them, but they're wrong. Rock and roll will suck you down into some sorts of music that you thought you would never be a fan of. You start off listening to bands like this, and you're like, oh, wow, Motley Crue and Def Leppard. Wow, they are so fun. And then you start listening to heavier music and heavier music and heavier music until you end up like this. Yeah, this is incredibly dope. The variety, the master recordings, the cultural impact of this music, it completely shaped the experience of Guitar Hero 3. And objectively, at the end of the day, out of almost all of these things that we've talked about already, the music is what makes this game incredibly dope. While the story, the worlds, the art, the gameplay, all those things kind of combine together to make this game incredibly dope, there is one thing that we need to talk about that cannot go untouched. And that's inspiration. Video games, they are frequently slandered throughout the media for a variety of different reasons. People love to say that video games make you lazy and they make you waste time, or they'll make you commit mass acts of violence, or their addictive nature will change the brain chemistry of its players. I mean, hell, like, come on. I am the king of getting sucked into a video game for 12 hours on a weekend instead of starting 15 LLCs and starting a drop shipping company, a podcast, eating raw steak and drinking unpasteurized milk like these other alpha fitness influencer bros will try to bark at you all day to do. Hey, do whatever you want, okay? But in the case of Guitar Hero here, the influence of this game, it impacted an entire generation of kids to want to pick up an instrument, get good at it, and work towards something that would make them better overall. You want proof? I mean, you're looking at the proof. My dad, he had a beginner acoustic guitar tucked away in his closet throughout my entire 0 through 10 age of my childhood. And one day I stumbled across it, and in that moment, all I could think about was Guitar Hero. My 11-year-old logic at the time told me that if I spent as much time practicing real guitar as I did playing Guitar Hero, I could be really good at it. I could play those songs for real. I could start a real band. I could play music in front of real people. Without Guitar Hero, I would have never been pushed to that point to know that if I practice something over and over and over again, I would become better at it, just like in the game. And my love for holding something in my hands that can make sound, whether it's a real guitar or if it's a plastic one. Without Guitar Hero, I would have never been inclined to pick up a guitar, to learn scales and songs, to learn other people's songs, to be able to join other bands, to play live shows, to start my own band, to record an album, play hundreds of shows at Musty Rick's Shit Shack. Any of those things without that plastic guitar. And in turn, I would have never created this channel to promote my band. Guitar Hero influencing me to play guitar, it helped me throughout my childhood to feel pride in something that I worked extremely hard for. Without Guitar Hero, I would have never built any of these unforgettable memories that I've made with my friends and my bandmates and other bands that we've played with, the venues that we played at, the album we recorded. Without Guitar Hero, I would have never built some of the greatest relationships that I think I'll ever have in my entire life. That is the power of Guitar Hero 3. The story, the art, the music, the gameplay, and especially the influence that came from this game. That is what made this game incredibly dope. All right. Revisiting this game has honestly been one of the funnest experiences that that I've had in a very long time. And you know what? I think it's time that you play Guitar Hero 3, Legends of Rock. From cracking out the old reliable Xbox 360, or the Wii that's tucked away in your closet, or that PlayStation 2 in storage, you know what you need to do? You need to play Guitar Hero 3 like Satan himself gave you some magical powers to rip those riffs. There's also a PC port for this game, but if you want me to be completely honest, it took me about 5 to 6 hours worth of research to find the best way to play the game, or to get it running, or to get my controller connected, or all these different kinds of things. So if you want to play this version of the game, hit me up. Bang my DMs in the Instagram, join the Discord, let me know what you think. Get with me, and I'll give you some pointers. I'll walk you through how to get that installed on PC, because after the amount of research, I want to share the wealth. So the elephant in the room here for playing a Guitar Hero-esque game is obviously the software that's out there that is known as Clone Hero. Clone Hero is an open source software that's free to download and allows you to basically download any chart of any song that you could literally imagine in your entire life. It's available on PC, and it still allows you to play with those classic Guitar Hero controllers one way or another. To be honest though, like for me, it is just not the same as playing those original Guitar Hero games. You know what? Hear me out. You know when you get your oil changed at one of those tire shops nearby, and like there's that garbage TV on, like Maury or Jerry Springer, that like you would never really like watch in your free time? Well, the thing is that you could watch those things in your free time, right? But it's not the same, right? Watching Maury or Jerry Springer in your living room quiet is not the same as watching it at the tire shop when there's a 300 stinky pound dude next to you and a mom with 4 babies that are all crying at the same time, and you're pissed off because your car's not getting ready, and you're watching this dude say you're not the father, and there's the smell of fresh coffee going in your nose. That's the thing. Though this type of media is about atmosphere, right? It's about atmosphere. Clone Hero, it just doesn't have that atmosphere that the original Guitar Hero had. It didn't have the goofy characters or the lighting effects or anything, or it didn't have the crowd screaming at you when you suck. Who am I to judge? You should play Clone Hero, and if anything, I'm actually about to give you a pretty valid reason to download it, so stick around. Do you think that Joe Jonas or Lil Wayne is better than Tom Morello or Slash a Guitar? You ever watch that garbage TV in the tire shop? It's like one of my favorite things. Let me know in the comments. And as always, this channel was made to promote my band. I mean, if anything, this entire video was basically made to promote my band. Go listen to Destined to Conquer by Whydah right now. When you listen to it, just know that that entire album came from a love of Guitar Hero 3. And if you like the album, go to the link in my description right now. There's actually a Google Drive folder that allows you to play every single song off the album on Clone Hero. I'm serious. Every single song. It's pretty awesome. Give a shout out to my drummer's brother. We love you, Mr. Matthews. Thank you so much for mapping all these songs for us. All right, man, this is it. Thanks for sticking around. It's just Cornborn. Hey, I'll make this quick. We hit 10,000 subs. Pretty sweet. I'm absolutely stoked about it. Didn't set a milestone, like a thing that I would do if I hit 10K, because I didn't think I would. So I've seen a lot of people say that they want a foot reveal since I never show my feet. Love you guys. Bye. Signing out.